Hello and welcome back. This is Polly and you're watching The Great Golly. In today's video, I will be trying Clip Studio Paint for the first time. So the only drawing softwares I've used in order are MS Paint. That lovely one from your really old computer. Yeah. Fire Alpaca, which I used from basically until I went into college, and Photoshop, what I used thereafter. But I did like to use Fire Alpaca at home because it was lighter on the laptop and it let you export things as Photoshop files, which was quite nice. So that is the extent of my drawing software knowledge because I guess I just jumped right into Photoshop and I've been using that for about 4 years now and I really do enjoy it. But I've always been a bit curious about Clip Studio Paint because a lot of people are always talking about it. And one of my friends was telling me, because I totally have friends, she told me there was a sale on Clip Studio Paint and both of the softwares were for half price. So I went onto their site and I looked at their prices, and even when they're not on sale, they're actually pretty good. And when I mean pretty good, I mean super fantastic. For Photoshop, you have to pay a monthly subscription. From what I've heard, you used to be able to buy a license and just use it forever then, but they were really expensive and they've just changed to this monthly format. But on Clip Studio Paint, when they're not on sale, you can get the smaller version, Clip Studio Pro, for €50. And then for Clip Studio EX, you can get that for $200. And that's when they're not on sale. When they were on half price, the Clip Studio Pro was only €25. And come on. It's €25 for a full-blown drawing program and you get to keep it forever? I'd be pretty stupid not to buy it. Or at least that's what I told my inner art supply shopaholic. But, €25, that's really affordable for most people. And even if it's not, that's like a $5 a month you put away. You'll have it in 5 months, But obviously that's on sale. But I've been looking into it and they do seem to have monthly payment plans as well. For you to pay it off once a month until you own the full software. And even then, if you're not sure, you can go for the cheaper Clip Studio Pro option, and then you can just add a smaller fee on top to get the EX version later on if you change your mind. And Clip Studio looks like a kind of all-around software, A lot of people use it for comics, that seems to be the only thing people really draw their comics on apart from Photoshop. You can also use it for digital painting. You can actually use vector formats on this, which is very good. Basically what that means, when you zoom into the image, it won't get all pixelated, which is nice. And it also is an animation software. It's a pretty nice all-rounder. And just in case you're wondering what's the difference between the two Clip Studio Paints, the Clip Studio Paint Pro and the Clip Studio Paint EX, the big differences that I would see is for the Clip Studio Paint Pro, you can only animate 24 frames, which is about a second. So that's not too great for an animator. You can get a short little funny animation out of it, but on Photoshop you can just keep going all the way. You can make as many frames as you want until your computer screams and dies. Also, you can only work with one page on Clip Studio Paint Pro, but on EX you have multiple pages and infinite frames. So the multiple pages would be for somebody who wants to make a long form comic and would like them all together instead of having a single save file for each page, which, yeah, that makes sense. And obviously for me, I would like unlimited frames instead of 24, which will get me about a second of animation, just to put that into context for you. So that's about all I have to say for the software itself, and the price tag is just absolutely class. It's really good, and I think I would have started using Clip Studio Paint instead of Fire Alpaca if I had known that it was this cheap. And just the multitude of payment plans, it makes it really accessible to most people, And with that out of the way, we're on to the meat and potatoes of the whole thing. How was it? Well, the potatoes were spot on, but the meat was a bit chewy. And as for Clip Studio Paint, it was pretty easy to use. Now, if you're coming over from Photoshop, there are a few little snags here and there that I found myself getting caught in, which can get a bit annoying over time when you just keep doing them. The first thing I would say, when I can't find anything on Photoshop, I normally go up to the help bar and I just type it in and it will show me where to find it. And I always find that quite useful because I always forget where stuff is. But in Clip Studio Paint, you don't have that. I went into this using no tutorials. I wanted to go in blind so I'd be able to see how it is just coming straight from Photoshop into Clip Studio Paint. Would the transition be very smooth, or would I hit a few bumps? And I hit a few bumps. Now, you could tell me just to stop being a baby and learn where things are, and to that I'd say, leave me alone, I have the memory of a goldfish. Another annoying thing would be the hotkeys. From using Photoshop, I've picked up a couple hotkeys that I just press automatically now, like Command Z for undo and Command S for save, which I click like a nervous twitch. And while those hotkeys seem to be the same on Clip Studio Paint, a couple of them are different. And like I'd be pressing G to get my fill bucket, and I'm not going there. I don't even know what that key does actually in Clip Studio Paint. Or I'd be pressing L for the lasso tool and nothing's happening, and I'd just be clicking it there for a couple of seconds going, why is it not working? And then realize I'm in the wrong software. But I suppose for that I just have to learn the right hotkeys, but that can be confusing when you're using two programs. There was another thing I found really annoying, borderline hate. To close the software, normally on any other like program I'd be using Adobe wise, up in the top left hand corner there'd be a big red button to just close the software, a yellow one to make it fold into itself, and the green one to make it smaller or bigger, which I quite like because you can just click that button and it folds away neatly until you want to use it again. You know, maybe you want it to go away to get a reference image off the internet and then bring it back in again. For Clip Studio Paint it's a little different and a lot annoying. Now, you could correct me on this, maybe I'm doing it wrong, maybe I'm missing something, but instead of there being a nice little click on and off button in the top corner, it's in the drawing window, which is kind of weird. Then when you press the close window button or the minimize window button on it, the borders stay there, like the navigator, the layers, the brushes, the color wheel, they all stay there. You just have this big hole in your screen, so you're like peeking through it. And the first time I did that, I thought, what did I do? I'm just looking at my desktop through the drawing program. That can't be right. I clearly did it wrong. No, I did not. At least I don't think so. And if I did, I'd be really embarrassed. And then to make that weirdness disappear, you have to click on the screen behind Clip Studio Paint. And just that extra click, it just makes it a bit unstreamlined and a bit clunky. I don't really like it, and it kind of looks weird and confuses me as to why they did it like that. The one other thing that I don't really like, it's kind of more of a missing feature that I'd like them to have. They don't have downloadable color palettes. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I did search their like downloadable content and I couldn't find any. On Photoshop there's Adobe Color, and you can just scroll this lovely little website and download a color palette you like and then alter it to what you need. But that doesn't seem to be a feature on Clip Studio Paint, and if I was just to solely use Clip Studio Paint, it would be something I'd sorely miss, because I really do enjoy just having the convenience of picking out a color palette without having to worry too much about, will this go with that, will that clash with this, does that look bad? And honestly, sometimes I'm just too lazy to make my own color palettes. There, I said it, I'm lazy. So lazy, in fact, if I can find a shortcut, I will take it. Which brings us on nicely to what exactly do I like about Clip Studio Paint then? They have these lovely little features of 3D environments and models that you can pose so you can get your reference and proportions correct. Now, since I went into this blind, I didn't actually know how to do that and I kind of failed, but I don't know, I think my drawing is not very atomically correct, but entertaining at the very least. Now, if I could figure out how to use this feature, I would be flying. It sounds like a really good idea to have just these models that you can pose. I've seen it done, but again, I went into it with no tutorials, so I guess I'm just a bit stupid and couldn't figure it out, but I will get past that and look at a tutorial next time. Another thing I really liked is they email you, I think about every month or so, with new tutorials and tips and hints on how to get a better experience out of the program. They also have tutorial making contests every month or so, and you can win prizes from that. One of the most interesting things I found out from one of their emails was they have AI coloring apparently. I haven't tried that out, but I think that would be really cool to try and use it with animation to see what would happen. But that's a video for another day when I actually know how to use the software properly. And finally, the feature that is the biggest draw for most people is they have loads, and I mean loads, like tons of downloadable brushes, free brushes. And honestly, everybody loves a free brush. I mean, do you not like free brushes? Because I do, and I think you're kind of weird if you don't like free brushes. No offense. The process was fairly simple. You just go onto their site and download it. It's really easy. Like, I couldn't figure out how to do those 3D things, but I figured out how to do those brushes, so it's easy. I mean, if I can do it, you can do it. Literally, it's not rocket science or anything, but I think that 3D stuff might be. And hey, finally, we're on to the last part of the video. Would I use it again? The short answer, yes. Long answer, I need a lot more practice. I don't know what I was doing. I don't know, maybe should have looked up a basic tutorial before I came into this, but I really did want it to be a complete blind test to check out how smooth the transition would be. And I realized that might have been a mistake because I spent half of my time just going, where is everything? How do I do that? How do I do this? And those hotkeys, oh my god, those hotkeys. I need to print myself out a sheet or something so I can learn how they work. And again, I was totally blown away by the price tag. Like, it's just so cheap for what you're getting. If I had known about it sooner, I would have used it sooner. So don't be like me and get this instead of wondering, is it really that good? I don't know. I've kind of heard bits about it. But well, now you've heard a lot about it and I hope you found it helpful or very, very confusing. So all in all, I really enjoyed this program. It was quite fun to use once I got the knack of it. To me, I feel it's a bit lighter than Photoshop. By that, I don't mean that it takes up less memory space. I don't actually know how much gigabytes or whatever this takes up. I don't know. Gigabytes, megabytes, kilobytes. Do you know the difference? I don't. What I mean is it just feels a bit lighter to use, as in not as cluttered. Sometimes when I'm using Photoshop, I just feel like I've got a lot of things open and it's very cluttered. But for this, I just had my layers, my navigator, some brushes, and a color palette, which I liked because I get kind of annoyed if things are a bit too cluttered. I just kind of look at it and feel like I can't get work done because it's cluttered, but that's probably just me telling myself I don't want to do work, and I guess now I don't have that excuse anymore. But yeah, I'd say I'll definitely use this again. I'll just need to practice a bit more on it. I'm also going to give that animation a try, even though it's only 24 frames. I'm sure we can get something interesting out of 1 second. And I'm kind of curious about that AI stuff, so I don't know if that's on this or is it on the EX version only, but I will find that out, and if it worked, then I have a new fun thing to try out. And so with that, I think we've got about 3 more minutes until the video is really done, so I'll just give you a brief talk of what I did there. I got this idea for these like weird goopy zombies from this B movie from the 80s. I think it's called Night of the Comet, and it's just crazy. There's a meteor from outer space, zombies, mad scientists, all the works, and probably loads more I'm forgetting to mention. But it had all that packed into one movie, so it was a bit quick. It didn't really dwell on things very much. But I quite like the idea of like weird goopy zombies being made by comets. So we've got the comet in the background there and the zombies chasing these like survivors, and I thought it'd be really funny if one just really didn't care and was having a class time all together and the other two are like freaking out like, oh my god, what's going on? So I made this little sketch of them riding around in their car. Now my car probably looks really bad because I'm just terrible at cars. Cars and fish, those are things like I really struggle with drawing. So we've got a very interesting looking car. I'm not really sure what it's supposed to be. Maybe one of those like mom vans from like the 80s maybe? Yeah. But overall I'm pretty happy with that drawing. It looks exciting and energetic, you know. And if you liked that, maybe comment, like and subscribe. Tell me what you liked, tell me what you didn't like. Bye!